AEW fans, welcome to Fabulous Wrestling Talk AEW. We're going to talk about All Out. It seems like we just talked about All In. Wait, we actually did. But the only person that I really want to talk about it with is my tag team partner, Clay Harden. How are you, bud?
I am ready for a wild weekend of football and rain. I guess it's not supposed to be a good looking weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you're the best sideline uh, expert reporter in high school football, but this is one of those times that I hope you have a rain suit. I think you're going to get pretty wet down there.
Dude, I deer hunt and I fish tournaments. You know I got a $100 rain suit. As a matter of fact, my boat
I
stays
got a
at my
super, I got a super cheap one, but it works.
no, I got a warm weather rain suit that was about 150, and then I got a cold weather rain suit that was about 600.
Wow.
But
Yep.
if you're gonna be out in it all day in the pouring rain, you don't want to get cold and you don't want to get wet.
Yep.
But my warm weather one's in my boat. My boat stays at my shop at work, so I got myself a reminder on my phone to get my rain suit out of my boat.
Yep. You have about 20 hours or so to do that.
Well, I go back to work in the morning. I won't leave till about 3:30 to go set up for the game tomorrow night. So
Yeah.
last thing I do, I'll grab it and throw it in the truck. So I'll be good to go. I'm prepared for anything. About November, I first of November, I take the warm weather rain suit out of the boat, put it up, get the cold weather, the insulated one out, put it in the boat. So I'm always, no matter when I go, I got one of them ready to go.
I might have to invest in one of those, at least in the first KSU home game. A couple of us are relegated to the overflow tent outside, and it's not so bad right now. But if it gets cold or wet, it's not going to be a place you want to be unprepared. So I might have to invest in one of those.
Just remember, you get what you pay for.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
Go to Bass Pro Shop or Cabela's and get you a Redhead or Bass Pro Shop brand, and spend some money and get a good one. Also invest in a good pair of insulated waterproof boots.
I should get some of those anyway
I,
because
I
I wear boots 90% of the week.
I got them two different ways. I got waterproof non-insulated, which I'll be wearing tomorrow night, and then I got waterproof insulated that I wear when it's cold. And then I have a pair of insulated uh, high top sneakers that I wear fishing in the cold weather because it's hard to run a trolling motor with your foot when you got heavy insulated boots on. So I scoured the internet and found Columbia makes a pair of hiking sneakers. They're just high top sneakers, but they got the Omni Shield insulation system in them. Not as warm as my boots, but I make do with them. Anyway, enough about my cold weather experience, my wet weather experience.
I was about to say, and this is with, and this has been dressing for Georgia weather for the upcoming Georgia weather with Clay Harden.
Hey, sometimes you need the warm weather rain suit and the cold weather rain suit in the same week around here.
Sometimes the same day.
Hey, I have been we in the fishing tournament world. We do what we call pre-fish, um, where we go down the day before the tournament and see if we can figure out what kind of pattern they're on, where they're at. I have worn shorts and a t-shirt on the pre-fish day, and then insulated clothes on the tournament day, the very next day. So it happens around here.
Oh yeah. Like I said,
Georgia
welcome to
wet.
Georgia for everybody who don't know.
Georgia weather is wild. Like when I go to Cincinnati in December and January for football, like I know pack cold weather gear because it's gonna be cold here. You may be in a t-shirt one day and hoodie and bundled up the next. So it's just wild.
Oh, just I've told people I said I've seen 3 feet of snow on Christmas and the day before and the day after I was in shorts.
Yep. Before I forget, Anthony Hammett is one of our producers at Hometown Sports Media. I shared his. There's a documentary about him. A filmmaker did.
Mhm.
It's on YouTube. I shared it to Hometown Sports Media's Facebook page. Anthony is, I like to call him the best of us. He's a really good dude. He's been living with a super rare genetic condition his whole
Hmm.
life. He's the oldest living person with this condition.
Yeah.
And his story, we shared it at our Facebook page at Hometown Sports Media. So if you get a chance, go check that out and give that a look. It's a really neat story. The life
I'll be
he's
honest.
lived.
Oh, oh yeah. I've known him since he moved into the county. He was in my, I think, fourth grade class when he first moved in. We've been booking territories ever since.
Yeah, he's a special dude.
He definitely is. He'd be great for this show.
Yes, he can talk. You know, I don't watch WWE a whole lot. He can talk all of it. New Japan, All Japan, the Indies, AEW, Impact, NWA. He can talk it all with you.
Oh yeah. He can talk circles around me, and that says a lot.
You know, his dad was a professional wrestler
Yep.
and was going to sign a contract with WWE, but he talks about the documentary, so I don't want to ruin it. But he made a deal with God that if he'd let his son live, that he would never leave his side. And he found out that his son couldn't travel, that Anthony couldn't travel with him if he signed that WWE contract. So he turned it
Yep.
down and stuck with the indie scene.
Yep.
Pretty cool story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I consider Anthony one of the best people I know by far.
Yep, he is. He's a producer for us at Hometown Sports Media on Friday nights. Does a really good job, and we're proud to have him as part of our hometown family.
Absolutely. I keep promising at some point we're going to work together. So either Impact Media or Hometown Sports Media, we're going to make this happen where me and him are doing something together.
I'm all for it. And, hey, and
But
if
yeah,
you want to do a football podcast, he can talk all day with you on football too. Any sports really.
honestly, all kinds of stuff. That dude is super smart. Always has been.
I'm gonna text him when we get done here. I'm sure he's watching this Buffalo Miami game right now.
I'm sure he is. But certain people that are not watching that are AEW fans and people, as you said, why do I have the bean behind me? Well, that's because All Out was in Chicago, something we forgot because AEW didn't really play it up that much. That was kind of interesting.
I had a
But
1 week build up.
yeah, almost back to back. It really does feel like we just talked all in, which we technically did about a week and a half ago.
Yep.
So now let's jump into all out, or was it which? Now I'm confused again. All out. We're talking about
All
all out
out.
this time. Yeah, we are all out of things to talk about now. All out. There was stuff on the pre-show. We talked about why was the Acclaim not involved. Well, apparently they took on the Iron Savages. I've met Jack Jameson. He's pretty cool. He's actually their mouthpiece. They're good workers, so they don't know what to do with the Acclaim yet. So that's why they were on the pre-show. Uh, Hologram, Sammy Guevara, Dustin Rhodes were all on there against the premier athletes. That was probably pretty good as well. But once again, people that were not featured on the show because they didn't know what to do with them. Um, Looks like the Bang Bang Gang was also on there against the Dark Order. There's six more people that potentially should have been on the show that weren't. And then the Undisputed Kingdom, who half people forgot they were still there, took on Shane Taylor Promotions and Mortos.
I cannot for the life of me figure out why they don't use Taven and Bennett.
Bennett.
Like they would be one of my top tag teams.
Absolutely.
That they worked the gauntlet match, the tag team gauntlet match last night on Dynamite, and were phenomenal. Like I would have had them win it. I understand, you know, Osprey and Fletcher won it. I understand why they did. Like
Yeah.
Osprey's hot right now, but Taven and Bennett came in and put on a show.
Almost every match they're in, they're the unsung hero. They're the MVP of the match, just in how they work.
Yeah, they're amazing. I wish they would feature more on the main card. And we
What
nailed
about
it. You know, the
yeah?
pre-show we talked about there was about 4 matches that were going to be great, and the rest of them were going to be snoozers, and we were exactly on the money.
Yeah. And we were right as we were watching it, and we'll get to that as well as to why certain matches ended the way they did. Speaking of, MJF versus Daniel Garcia was the brawl that we thought it would be. It was a very organized brawl. I mean, MJF obviously one of the best on the planet. Daniel Garcia on his way to being really, really good. Um, and this was a really good match. MJF, of course, wins. Then Daniel Garcia does the middle rope um, pile driver, and it's because MJF is scheduled to take some time off. So you have him get the win, but you have Garcia with a little bit of an anger streak to him. And I mean, I kind of
Did
like this match.
didn't if I remember correctly, didn't MJF try to shake his hand after the match, and Garcia did the nut kick like MJF did to him? That
Yep.
was pretty funny.
That's why I said Daniel Garcia could really learn a lot from working with an MJF and a couple other guys in AEW, and he could be possibly a big star somewhere down the road.
Yeah, he's got potential. I think he needs to put a little bulk on, but to
Yes,
really be that top guy. But he's got potential. He's like Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara needs to put on about 40 pounds of muscle, and he would be a superstar.
he'd be close to unbeatable.
But I put Daniel Garcia in the same boat. He needs to put on about 30 or 40 pounds of muscle, and then he would be very marketable as a top guy.
Oh yeah. Same with Jack Perry. If Jack Perry put on about 10, 15, 20 pounds right now,
I like
it'd
Jack
be.
Perry where he's at.
I think it needs to be just a little bigger.
Maybe a little bit bigger, but he's not. He don't look real thin like
No,
those two guys do.
he don't.
He's a little
He's hanging
thicker
around
now.
the right people.
Yeah.
Because speaking of the people he hangs around, the Young Bucks took on the Blackpool Combat Club, or what's kind of left of them. We'll get to that. Claudio and Yuta in that one. The Young Bucks ended up defending their belts. I was trying to figure out what belts that Claudio and Yuta had. I guess they're some of the Ring of
Trio.
Honor ones. That's right, the
Oh,
trios.
they
Oh,
got the
with
trios
Pac.
title.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, this was a decent match. These are four guys that know how to wrestle. They know how to put on a show. They're all really good. Just we knew BCC was not going to win this.
Well, you got it's kind of a odd couple because you got the Young Bucks and Yuta that can do all the flippy stuff off the top rope, and Claudio's 7 foot tall and weighs 300 pounds and just a banger.
Yeah,
So like you put them all four of those guys in the ring, and you think one of these guys is not like the others. And he was
yeah,
really the odd man out. He can't do a lot of the flippy stuff, back flips and stuff off the top rope that the other three
yeah.
do. But he came in and was the muscle. That's another guy that I hadn't figured out how he hadn't made it in the world title scene yet. Just as strong and big as he is, I would not. He would never lose a match if I was booking him.
Well, and when the last 6 months of his run in WWE, it's like they were starting to figure it out. But at that point, he was so ready to go and do something else and have a chance to do something else. He was so run down by it that he didn't stick around to see what they were going to do. And I really thought
Yeah.
AEW would try to give him that big heavyweight push, but they just hadn't done it yet.
Well, they put the Ring of Honor title on him for a couple months, but that was already played out at the time.
Yeah. But like I said, there was a couple matches that were pretty good, couple matches that were okay. That was one that was kind of okay. Like you said, it was kind of because Claudio stuck out, and it just you knew where it was going to go before it got there.
Yeah, there was a lot of spots where the Young Bucks were Claudio was doing the moves on both of them at the same time.
Yep.
They were trying to make him look like he was that much bigger and stronger. But yeah, we knew the Young Bucks were going to retain. If I had to grade it, I'd give it like a C+.
Yeah, and that's mostly based on the skill that was in the ring, not really on the way it played out.
Right. And there was no build up to it. It didn't really mean anything.
No. And as much as MJF, Daniel Garcia was good out of the gate, I really thought they should have started with this next match, which was Ospreay versus Pac for the international championship. Really good. We knew Pac wasn't going to win, but once again, at this point, it didn't matter because these two just put on just every bit of show. What I set the over under at Poison Rana's at 4.5, and I think we got 4 clean ones in there and one that was countered by Ospreay.
Yeah, it was. You almost nailed it, and it was. Yeah, that was probably my highest graded match at an A-.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining. Which Osprey can make anybody look good, and Pac's right there with him. He can go with just about anybody. He's big and thick enough to bang
Yeah.
with somebody, but he's also athletic enough to do the high stuff with Osprey. And it was a fun match.
Yeah, Osprey is one that you just try to hang with. Most people, there's not many on the planet that can potentially surpass him on even their best night. So you just
Now,
try to hang, and Pac can more than hang. He can be there.
and I'm so glad he didn't sign with WWE. And I saw an interview with him where he said the money was a little bit better, the work schedule was a little bit better, but I knew when I got there they were going to give me a big push for about 3 months, and then I was going to be
Then
ricochet and stuck in the mid cards,
yeah,
and never get any kind of push or anything. So I'm glad he's where he's at.
same thing with MJF. He knew the same thing was going to happen, so
Yep,
he was like, "I'm going to stay here and be a big dog instead of going there for better money, maybe a better schedule, but in 6 months nobody's going to care where I'm at."
right, because he's going to be on the mid card wrestling Otis.
Yep. But yeah, I agree. By far, that was probably the best match on the card. Um, we knew they were
Not
going to
not the
bury one
best,
of the.
not the best storyline, but the
No,
best action match.
yes, absolutely. Overall action, yeah. And we knew they were going to bury one of the women's matches after this. They decided to bury Statlander and Willow in the Chicago street fight, which was all right. It's no
Didn't
knock
we?
on them. Both those ladies can work. It just we're just tired of this.
And to be 100% transparent, I recorded this Saturday night, and we watched it Sunday afternoon about 4 o'clock, and we fast
Yep.
forwarded through. I think we watched four and kind of fast forwarded through four.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you were like,
That,
you care if I fast forward? And I was like, nope, go for it.
yeah, that was one of the ones we just kind of skipped through real quick.
Now, this particular moment did get a little bit of play on the internet, and even your better half happened to be watching this particular moment as well when Statlander went for a move and Willow countered it, and instead she did a split onto some thumbtacks, and that
Yeah,
that could have been fun. That's the last thing of all the places you could catch some tacks, that's not where I want to catch any.
I think Lindsay had me rewind it a couple times.
Because
And,
we were
and,
trying to figure out uh, what production assistant was going to have to try to help her get those out of the inside of her leg.
yes, and we were pretty impressed that she was willing to take a that kind of bump on some thumbtacks,
Yeah,
because I don't have one of those, but I hear it's very sensitive.
yeah. Because to start
Not
with,
somewhere you
yeah,
want to get a stuck to.
no, I can't think of anywhere I want thumbtacks, but that's definitely at the bottom of the list if I have to.
No, I've stepped on one before, but like I can't imagine having one in the nether regions.
Yeah, like I said, just imagine doing a split on some tacks. That's basically what we're talking about, and good for Stat. I don't know if that's going to help her get a title shot, or maybe she's the one to take down Mercedes. I doubt it, but good for
No,
you for taking unnecessary damage.
we got like 2 more years to put up with her bull crap.
Yeah, at least a year before maybe they'll start doing something.
Yep.
But up next, we got to see the four-way match for the Continental Championship. It was Okada, it was Mark Briscoe, it was Orange Cassidy, and it was Konosuke Takeshita. And they're basically setting up Okada versus Takeshita.
Well, they kind of
And
played on it again last night on Dynamite
mhm,
when if you hadn't seen the clip yet, got Don Callis approaches Osprey and says, you're undefeated in gauntlet matches, and I want you to team with Fletcher, and y'all win this tag team gauntlet match. And at that point, he shakes hands with Fletcher and hugs him. He shakes hands with Don Callis and hugs him. And he goes to hug Takeshita, and uh, Takeshita kind of blows him off. And then a little bit later, Takeshita gets face to face with Okada. So they kind of play it, and I do want to see them two just one on one.
I do. And for people that are like, oh, they're both from Japan, they faced each other dozens of times. Okada was New
Nope,
Japan, and
Takeshi was all
Takeshita
Japan.
was All Japan, which is like
Yep,
AEW and WWE. They do
yep.
not see each other. They do not face each other. They don't even take the same subway to work. They are
Never,
complete
never
opposites. It's
crossed
Coke
paths.
and Pepsi.
Yep.
So if they
So
did face, it was
it's very
early before
interesting.
either one of them got big.
It's very interesting. Well, keep in mind too, Okada is about 15 years older than Takeshi too.
That's true. That's very true. So they never saw each other, I would imagine,
Nope.
because
So
now Okada's gone.
I do want to
Takeshita
see that
was
match
just in
one
the
on one.
G1. Yeah.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, we keep saying Takeshita is one of those guys that is a soon to be star, and
Yep.
he might be taking over that Okada role for AEW.
Yeah. He's boy, he's got the look. He's big. He's muscular. He's athletic. I do like. I do like. I got to see him. He was at Ric Flair's last match. Takeshi
Takeshita,
was. Yeah, and I got to see him in person.
I bet he towers over you.
I wouldn't say tired. I mean,
I mean, he's a
you
big guy.
realize, yeah. I mean, you realize I'm almost 6'5".
Yeah,
Not many people tower over me.
that's true.
Uh,
Only people named Sparling.
yeah, yeah. That big Sasquatch is a little taller than me.
Not by
And
much. I
my
bet
little
that's actually
nephew,
close.
my little 15-year-old nephew that plays right tackle for the Bowden Red Devils is an inch taller than me now,
Oh wow,
and outweighs
you
me
got
by 5 pounds.
you got to quit feeding that kid,
I don't feed it. I don't. Do not buy that grocery bill. That is on my brother.
man. That's I don't even want to know what that number is.
We lock the pantry when he comes over here.
You about have to.
I make my brother put a deposit down.
I don't or send him with his own food.
Yeah, yeah. That boy put away some groceries. Hey,
He
he's healed
definitely
up.
can.
He's healed up, suiting up, and playing tomorrow night. By the way,
Hey, that's gonna be great.
the torn
I do want to
meniscus is
get by
all
and
healed
see him
up.
sometime this year.
The torn meniscus is healed up, and they got the all clear last Friday.
Well, then I feel bad for Heard County,
Yep, he is ready to hit somebody.
and he will. But Okada, of course, wins this match. But like we said, they're setting up Okada versus Takeshita. I think this is going to be a slow burn. It's going to be there. You're going to see them dance with each other a handful of times, and then finally, somewhere later in the year, I see this being a co-main event or a show opener.
Yeah, it'll be a show opener. It'll never be a main event. It'll be a show opener for sure. It's something everybody wants to see. It'll be entertaining.
Yeah, they just the elite has to figure out that storyline they're in, and once that kind of concludes and it levels off again, I think you'll see this match happen.
Yep.
And then luckily next, even though that four way was a little chaotic, a little weird, it ended up being pretty good because of showdown in the end. Then we got Mercedes Monet versus Hikaru Shida. As much as I'm a Shida fan, she's kind of a shell of who she used to be before she got hurt and went back to doing acting for a little bit. She's recent. I mean, she just has come back now. We knew she wasn't going to beat Monet, and without Camille down there, this was another one we kind of fast forwarded our way through.
I don't think we watched any of it. We may have watched the finish because
I
I
think we saw the
remember
finish.
I remember Sasha beating her clean, or Monet,
Yeah.
or whatever her name is now. And they're absolutely pumping in the CEO chants too.
Oh yeah, I said it since the beginning, and then now everybody's seeing it now. It's not only on the opening music that it's pumped in the music. It's you hear the CEO chants, and you look, and here's what everybody's looking at their phone going. I was
Yeah,
like, "There's nobody talking."
no, nobody's chanting that. She is the most not over champion I've ever seen. Like, not, usually if you get the heel, somebody cheers for him, but nobody cheers for that chick. You know why? Because she sucks.
Like I would say, Gilbert was more over as a champion.
Gilbert was over, dude.
He was over
James
big time.
James Ellsworth was over.
Yeah, That dude's great. He's a great follow, by the way. If people want a fun
I,
follow from somebody from the indie scene,
he popped up on my news feed on Facebook the other day looking for bookings. That
apparently
dude.
he hits them.
I'm sure he does.
Hey, that WWE rub ain't nothing to joke about.
No, he's famous forever now.
But all right, I'm going to give you the choice because we got about 9 or 10 minutes left. Um, do we want to talk Danielson Perry in the aftermath now, or you want to get Hangman Swerve out of the way?
No, let's hit the Danielson Perry because there that last match
Okay.
there's a lot to unpack there.
Well, there's a lot at the Danielson too.
I know, but there's some spots
Yeah.
that like
Oh yeah 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 yeah.
the stuff that happened in the Danielson match at the end, like you can see he was giving Moxley the signal when to let him breathe. So
Yep.
there's some safety outlets there. That last match there was no way of choreographing anything that happened in that last match.
And they had to do it on their own. I doubt Tony Khan would sign off on any of that.
It was it was some of the wildest outside of the death matches you see on the indie scene and some stuff that where Sabu was doing, swantons off the top of the second level and in
Yeah.
ECW. This is some of the wildest stuff, especially in modern wrestling. It's some of the wildest
Yeah.
stuff I've ever seen.
Absolutely. But I think we teased that quite a bit. So we're going to do the smart thing and go away from it and come back to it. So Danielson versus Jack Perry. This was a really, really good match. We wanted to see where Jack Perry was in working with Danielson. I think Jack Perry is very, very close to being a main event draw.
He's getting there. I like it. Like his promo skills are getting great, and if he put on about 10 pounds of muscle, I think he would. He needs to cut that hair too. That Jungle Boy sticks over.
Should he slick it back or should he cut it?
He should cut it. He should get it short, keep the beard, keep the scapegoat gimmick, and put on about 10 pounds of muscle. He'd be good to go.
He kind of this name just popped in my head. He's kind of it's a little bit of a stretch because I don't want to discount the person I'm going to mention. He's kind of at this point in his career a modern day Jericho.
I was gonna say he is Dolph Ziggler from about 15 years ago.
Okay, that's actually a closer compare. I like that one better. He's early Dolph.
Yes, Dolph Ziggler from about 15 years ago when he was holding the world title.
Yep.
That's kind of where he's at right now.
Which is actually he's holding the world title now, but it's in Impact Wrestling, so or it's
Right.
TNA or whatever they're calling it these days. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. Congratulations to him. But I thought this was a great match, and I thought the way everything went down, we knew something was going on. But I told you I had seen a clip, and I knew what was happening, and I knew the color of the shirt of the person who was doing it to him. I just didn't know who that was. I didn't see the head part of it. So after Danielson wins, they're all kind of lingering around the ring, which tells you something's going on. And towards the end of it, I told you Jack Perry kept doing this and looking back at the entrance. I said, he's looking for something, or he's given a cue. Hey, we're 5 minutes out. Hey, we're 6 minutes out. Whatever it is, he was given a cue, or he was looking to see where somebody was that was coming out. And of course, it was Blackpool Combat Club that came out after the Elite came out to attack Danielson. And then the Moxley led, now that he's back, the Moxley led BCC turned on Danielson, actually
Well,
had a plastic bag over his head.
don't skip the part where Christian comes down the ring on cash in the
Oh
contract,
yeah.
and Moxley and Pac and Claudio come out
And just
like
stand
they
there. Just
like they got Danielson's back, and then
yeah.
and then Christian turns around, goes backstage, and they jump in the ring, and they're congratulating him and hugging on him. And then he gives the nod to Claudio, and Pac grabs Yuta in a
Yep.
chokehold, and Claudio uppercuts Danielson, and then Moxley puts a plastic bag over his head.
Like not a gimmick bag. That's a real bag.
Yeah, it was sucking completely to his face. But if
Yeah.
I went back and watched a couple times, you can see Danielson giving
It,
the
it was
signal.
it was right here. Yeah.
Yeah, so when he gave him the signal, he pulled it up a little bit where he could breathe.
Yeah.
And then he went right back down with it. And I mean, it was, that they played it off well. If I understand where some people are coming from, they were talking about they went. I read a lot of comments on Twitter that it went too far because there were kids at ringside that don't know that don't know it's fake, and I blame that on mom and daddy. But if you're gonna, I
Well,
took my
and
kids.
AEW took the clip down off their social media and made a statement about it with just words saying that due to
Right,
the graphic nature, they weren't going to promote it, and which
right,
helps the storyline for sure. But yeah, you don't want that out there because too many people, too many adults, let alone kids, think they can do what they see on TV, and you don't want to encourage people to do that.
right. I mean, when I took my kids to the WWE shows when they were little, I would have the talk with them on the way. Look, these are professionals. They're not really hurting each other. It's all choreographed. But some people don't have that conversation with their kids. So there were kids at ringside that may have thought that Danielson was getting choked. So I don't know. I thought it was a good for the storyline, but you got to know your audience.
Yeah, and
But to
you
me,
know,
it wasn't as graphic or as egregious as what happened in the next match.
I was about to say we make that statement, you got to know your audience, and then Hangman and Swerve decide we're going to take it up about 16 levels. We're going to go to the top of one of these buildings, and then that's what we're going to do. And like you said, some of the spots. Let's see, we got about 3 minutes left. Some of the spot, the one that got me was the needle into the mouth of Swerve.
That didn't bother me as much as the power bomb on the cinder block.
Oh yeah, yeah. That boy, that
Not
that
not a
really
not a
ripped me.
gimmick cinder block,
No,
not a gimmick cinder block, an actual
no.
concrete, one of those big 16-inch 3-hole cinder blocks,
Yeah, I need a couple of those for my
and
building outside.
a power bomb from up here, not one of those where he just kind of flipped him up from this. Like he
Yeah,
brought
he
him up
was.
here
Uh,
and
yep.
hammered him down in the middle of his back, not the
Yeah,
shoulders, not his butt, the middle of his back on the cinder block. This
and
is
he.
after this is after like 10 minutes earlier when Swerve power bombed Hangman on it, but Hangman just kind of clipped it, scraped his
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Swerve squared that dude.
Oh yeah, it hit
And
square
then
in the middle of his back.
then he got a syringe stuck through his cheek, like all the way through his cheek.
Yeah,
And then he took a chair shot to the head. However, the center block wasn't a gimmick center block. The syringe
the
wasn't a
chair
gimmick
was.
syringe. The chair was 1,000% a gimmick chair.
Yeah,
It was not welded. It was very thin metal, and it was just kind of like glued together.
yeah,
So the seat came completely out of it when he hit him.
yeah.
But some of the
It,
stuff they did, the stapling each other, it was man, it was wild.
yeah. It just it was something else, and it was 31 minutes and 30 seconds according to the unofficial time there, and it was nonstop. There wasn't a lot of downtime of these
No,
two.
they
I mean, they
beat the piss out of each other.
absolutely.
And Swerve got Hangman. He stapled a picture to the side of Hangman's face. Hangman stapled it back to Swerve's chest.
Yeah,
They went up on the top of the cage. They went through the cage. They went through tables. They went through the center. Both of them went through a center block. It reminded me of when Shane Strickland was in on the indie scene doing the death matches, where
yeah,
they were busting um, the fluorescent lights over each other's heads and power bombing through glass and fire tables, and like they went back to that time period of his career.
and there's a place for that in wrestling. It's not really my cup of tea in wrestling. I understand. I respect a lot of it. It's just I would rather see good athletic competition. But overall, I think we're like 20 seconds left or something. Overall,
I,
any last statement or anything?
I will say this: I've always thought if you're going to have a lights out, unsanctioned death match, you should not put a referee in there.
Yeah,
Just
totally
let them go
useless.
to one of them can't go anymore.
Yep.
Like if you put a referee in there, you're sanctioning it. That's all I got to say about it.
Absolutely. All in all, great pay per view. We had a great time watching it. For my tag team partner, Clay Harden, I am Jeremy York. We will see you guys